So I am recording number 5 from the practice test, Form A. And it says, given the points 2, 4, and negative 6, 8, find the distance between them and the midpoint of the line segment joining them. So we are going to want two answers, the distance and the midpoint. We're going to find the midpoint first. The midpoint is just the x's added together, divided by 2, and the y's added together, divided by 2. So this would be negative 4 over 2 and 12 over 2, which is negative 2, 6. So that's the midpoint. Now it says find the distance between them. The distance is equal to the square root of the changes in the x's plus the changes in the y's, which is the square root of 8 squared plus negative 4 squared is the square root of 64 plus 16, square root of 80, which I can reduce as, see, that would be perfect squares that go in the 80 are 16 times 5 is 80, so it would be 4 root 5. Any questions on that? The distance formula is equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared.
That is something I need to put in my notes.
Like to do 7 for you when you're ready? I think you're going to need help with 7.
Find the center and radius of a circle. Oh yeah, those are the hard ones.
All of them are hard.
No. Find the slope of the line is pretty easy.
All right, let's take a look at number 7. Okay. We have x squared minus 4x plus y squared plus 6y equals 3. What you have to do is complete the square for these.
Oh. Yeah.
So if I'm looking at the x part right here, this is my b term. So I'm going to take half of b, which is half of 4, which is 2, and square it. So now I'm going to have x squared minus 4x plus 4. Half of 4 squared, 2 squared is 4. I have to do that to both sides to keep it even. Plus y squared plus 6y. What's half of 6?
3.
And if I square that?
9.
Add 9 to both sides. Okay. So you take half of that middle term and square it. And now we're going to factor this and factor that. So this is going to be the square root of this, x, the sign from here, this, the square root of this, squared. One more time, the square root of this, the sign from here, the square root of this, squared, equals 7 plus 9 is 16. So there is, now we're factored into, this is standard circle form. So my center is the opposite of this and the opposite of this. So it's 2 and negative 3. That's my center. And my radius is the square root of this. The square root of 16 is 4.
So these ones are, the hard one is when it's the other way, right?
I don't think any of them are hard. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
The, well, hard for us. There's the one that, if we don't have a test, never mind.
Oh.
I remember in the book, it was like the flipped, you were just given the 2, and you were supposed to, you had to plug in the distance formula and then the midpoint formula.
Like
and
if you're
create your
given,
circle.
yes.
That one, that was what I was talking about, was the hard one. for me to figure out, not for
Understandable. That is more complex. All right. Which one shall we look at next? It does now say sketch the circle, which if you wanted to sketch it, you'd go 2 over, down 3. And then your radius is 4, so you'd go 1, 2, 1, 2. So this way, and up 4, and over 4, and down 4, and then you sketch your circle in. Like that.
So like 8, you're just plugging them in for x, right?
Yep, for 8, you're just plugging into x and y.
Number 9. You can't have a negative in the square root,
Or 0.
And let me show you the one. So this is number 9, square root of x minus 4. So they want you to graph it. This is what the regular square root looks like. The minus 4 is going to move it this way.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that would what the graph would look like. And then the domain, x minus 4, has to be greater than or equal to 0.
Okay.
So x has to be greater than or equal to 4, which is consistent with your graph. See, there's only points this side of 4, right?
Yeah.
And then
So here's 4 right here.
4 down to negative infinity,
And it's
right?
this is when you have points. So our points, our interval notation would be from 4 up to infinity, and you're actually including 4. So 4 to infinity would be your domain.
And negative moves it to the right, positive moves it to the left.
Yes,
The
exactly.
negative in front of the equation moves it.
No, negative in front of the equation flips it, right?
Flips it.
So here's one that we had on the test that I gave the EOU students. Now let's talk about that for a minute. I think it was like 4x minus 8 over x or x minus 10.
What happens then?
Okay, so what happened here is most students told me correctly that 4x minus 8 had to be greater than or equal to 0. And then when they solved this, they found 4x had to be greater than equal to 8, and x had to be greater than or equal to 2. And in interval notation, a lot of students gave me 2 to infinity,
No.
right?
Oh, yeah.
But what happens?
You
There's
minus.
that 10 does something.
That's that 10. That 10 can't be in the domain because the 10, if I put 10 in here, that blows this up on the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
And so I would have to write this as 2
to negative, no,
to 10,
10,
not including 10,
not, yeah.
and then 10, union, 10 to infinity. Okay. So you have to break it up because you can't have that 10 in there. Okay?
Yeah, leave it there for a second.
Okay, leaving this here for a second. So problem number 11 says f of x equals 2x minus 4 if x is less than or equal to. If x is greater than 2, it is negative 2x plus 4. Sketch a graph of x. So 2 is our bounding line, just so you know. All right. And 2x minus 4, it goes down 4. And then it has a slope of 2, so it goes up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, and it looks like this line right here. Right. Negative 2x plus 4, I'm going to kind of write this, well, I'm just going to, it's a line as well, right, with a slope of negative 2. If I put in 2, what do I get? I get negative 2, so I'd get 0. 2 is 0, so it lands on that same point of 0. And if I put in 3, I'd get negative 6 plus 4, which is negative 2.
So it's in there.
So it's a straight line that looks like this.
Oh.
All right? And this would be actually the absolute value. I could write this as an absolute value.
Yeah, that's what they asked for.
Yeah, it says, oh, write this as a single expression in terms of the absolute value. Well, this would be the absolute value. You notice that has a factor of 2, right, there.
Yeah.
And then it would be 2x, and it's moved over 2. So it would be x minus 2 equals f of x. Or I could also write this as 2 absolute value of x minus 2.
Wouldn't it be negative 2?
No, I'm going to the right. Oh, thank you, negative 2,
Wait,
because I'm going upside down.
when? Why? Oh, never mind.
What? To...
Wait, so the absolute value would be. Yeah.
I was kind of in my own world for a little bit, making my notes.
Okay,
So I wasn't really
so
paying attention.
just for the record, 10's not a function. And the reason is because 1 goes to negative 1, and 1 also goes to 0, and it can't go to 2 places at once.
Oh, okay.
So
So what if it actually did work?
then there wouldn't be, this would have to go to the same place. Right, they couldn't be 2 points that start with 1 unless they went to the same place.
Oh, so that's just a trick question?
No, it's not a trick question. It asks you to decide whether or not it's a function.
Right.
And it's a yes or no question,
Oh. Okay.
right? So
Yes, it is a function.
it's
Or
not a function,
Sorry.
because those 2 1s in the x's go to different
Wait, but
places.
you can have multiple.
Y's, like if I had, if I have 2 goes to negative 4, I could also have 2 goes to 6, and that would be fine.
Right.
But you just said that.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
An example.
I meant to say, I'm sorry, you're right. I can have 2 go to negative 4, but I can also have 3 go to negative 4, and that would be fine. That's what I meant to say. Whew, you're right. I was saying that completely wrong. This would not be a function. Boo. Okay?
That's like a pumpkin.
Okay.
It looks like a ghost.
Yeah, one more it goes.
Same thing, still happy Halloween.
They still has the Halloween.
All right, let's take a look at number backside of the page. Even, odd, or neither.
Oh shoot, how do we
It's
do that?
not neither, I don't think.
How do we determine that?
Because.
The official way is to take f of x and write it down, and then take f of negative x and put it in, and see if you end up with the same thing.
Negative is gonna be positive.
Negative to the 4th power will always be just positive,
You do not end up with the same.
and you do end up with the same thing, so that makes it even. What about 13, important difference quotient? I know you guys did a lot of these on your homework.
I think we're good on that.
Find the different, these ones are hard.
They're just long.
They're just long, you just have to crank them
That's
out.
what my definition of hard is.
Is it, if it's long?
If it takes up half a page, it's pretty hard. If it takes up a full page, it's hard.
Okay.
Sam, that
What?
last problem, what was it, 2.6 or something? We did it on
It was a full
homecoming
page.
night.
It was hard.
Let's run through this real quick. So we would take the we'd put the x plus h in every place I see an x. There's no x here, so I just leave +1. Then minus the whole thing untouched, because it's just f of x, and that whole thing over h. And now I have some algebra 1 to do by foiling it out and distributing and collecting like terms. So FOIL it out.
Is this being recorded?
Yep. Distribute. Distribute again. And this is the most common mistake people make, is they forget to distribute this minus sign all the way through. Minus x squared plus 2x minus 1. Fun fact, if you did this correctly, when you cancel everything out, you should only have things with h's left. If you have something that doesn't have an h in it, then you did something wrong. So, to x squared minus x squared. Negative 2x plus 2x. Plus 1 minus 1. So, and you'll notice that everything I have left has at least one h in it.
And then,
Now we're going to distribute, we're going to pull an h out of everything. So I'm factoring out an h from here, one of the h's from here, and an h from here. And then this h will cancel with that. And my final answer is 2x plus h minus 2. Okay? And 14, questions on 14 or 15 or 16, what are we looking at?
Every single problem.
yeah.
Everything no problems. Okay, we'll move pretty quickly then. So,
Okay,
F of
It's
G.
pretty simple, you just plug them in.
so,
F
so
times G though.
you have to times them. So if I plug, basically what I'm gonna do is take f of negative 1 times g of negative 1. So if I put a negative 1 into f, I get 2 minus 4, which is negative 2. If I put a negative 1 into g, I get negative 3 minus 5, which is negative 8.
Oh.
Look
shoot.
above at the f. I have 2x squared minus 4 for the f of x.
Okay, now I remember.
So if I put a negative 1 in here, negative 1 squared is just 1. So 2 minus 4 equals f of negative 1. All right, so this is going to be 16.
Yeah. Okay. What if it's just F times Z to X?
What's that? Hang on a second. Let's, I want to do, let's just finish all of these. There's A, B, G minus F of 5. So I put the 5 into F and the 5 into G. So when I put it into G, I get 3 times 5 minus 5, which is 15, minus 5, which is 10. So this is 10 minus, and when I put it into F, I get 2 times 5 squared minus 4, which is 2 times 25 minus 4, which is 50, minus 4, which is 46. So this answer would be negative 36. That's B. And finally, C. This is F of G of 2. So that is F of G of 2. This is important that I put the 2 in G first. So G of 2 is equal to 3 times 2 minus 5, which is 6 minus 5, which is 1. So this would be the same as F of 1. Now I put the 1 into F. So F of 1 is equal to 2 times 1 squared minus 4, which is 2 minus 4, which is negative 2.
Normally you wouldn't put the parentheses around that exponent, right?
It doesn't matter if you do or not,
Okay.
in this case.
Okay.
Yeah.
But if you had a different number, would you, like if you had a negative, would you also do?
If you're a
Yeah.
negative, you would not want to,
Yeah.
because negatives in or out of parentheses
Hello.
are different. They always trip me up.
He's on his way.
Why
Thanks.
did,
Bye, Henry.
Yeah. What?
So looking at 15, they want you to figure out what this is and then also identify its domain. So this is F times G. F is this. G is this. And if I just have to FOIL this out, right? So this would be 2x cubed minus 2x squared plus 4x minus x squared. minus a minus is a plus x minus 2. Gather like terms, 2x cubed minus 3x squared plus 5x minus 2. And it says identify its domain. The domain here is just all real numbers because it's just a parabola. All right? Part B. They're saying g of f of x, g minus f of x. So g is this. And we're taking away f, which is this. So this is just simplifying now. Don't forget to distribute this whole thing. If you don't distribute, that's a really common mistake. And now gather our like terms. Negative x squared goes first, it's the biggest power. 2x plus x is 3x. Negative 1 minus 2 is negative 3. And the domain here is all real numbers because there's no square roots and we're not dividing by any x's, so there's no way the domain can be bad. And now we're going to take g of f of x, which is g of f of x. Means the same thing.
Those are the fun ones.
So this is anywhere I see, and here's my g. Anywhere I see an x in g, I'm going to put f. So this is going to be 2 times x squared minus x plus 2 minus 1. So this is 2x squared minus 2x plus 4 minus 1. 2x squared minus 2x plus 3. And my domain is all real numbers because there's no square roots and there's no dividing by zeros. And there you have it. That's number 15.
And then you would go to.
You have your regular square root that looks like this. The plus 3 says go over 3 to the right, or the minus 3. And the plus 2 says go up 2. So that would look like that.
I need to remember those.
Why is
So
there
the,
2 arrows?
because
She did the original.
The
Yeah.
Great graph.
So,
Yeah.
I need to remember, so a square root, what do you call that? That shape?
I call it a Nike swoosh upside down Nike swoosh, but you can call it whatever you want. But that's how I think of it, upside down Nike swoosh. It's not a technical math term. If you go to a math conference and you say, graph the upside down Nike swoosh, they're not gonna know what you're talking about. But when I think of a square root, I think upside down Nike
Then
swoosh.
you have the
They would
absolute
just say graph the
value.
square root of it.
You have so you use square root, the absolute value, just x squared. Those are your parabola, your
Parabola.
generic
Yeah,
hyperbola.
you have, so your parent family is this guy, right? Your square root,
Uh-huh,
your parabola,
uh-huh.
and your absolute value. Those are the basic ones.
The one thing, this I did struggle with on the homework was when I have a upside down Nike swoosh,
Uh-huh.
flipping it, this on the x-axis and the y-axis, it was a little bit different than what I
So-
had expected.
If the negative is in the inside, then it flips over this way.
Mm.
If the negative is on the outside, then it flips down this way.
What if you have like a negative 2x?
Then it flips and it stretches out a little bit. So instead of going down 1 over 1, it would go down 1 over 1 down 2. Like it'd be a little bit steeper.
that
Okay.
is something that, there's another one that like, when you put it in, it made it,
Yeah, I was moving right to the left.
Uh-huh.
There was one where, so I had, it was either
Sorry, I found my vertex. It's -1, -3, because a parabola always looks like y equals a times x minus h squared plus k, and this hk is your vertex. So that's how I came up with my vertex, because I have y equals negative 2, x plus 1 squared minus 3. So it's the opposite of h, which is negative 1, or the opposite of this term, and then the k, which is negative 3. So I have my vertex here. Now this negative 2 says I'm going to open down, and when I go over 1, instead of going over 1 down 1, I'm going to go over 1 down 2. And I'm going to go over 1 this way and down 2. And I'm going to graph this little, sketch this little parabola just like that. And that's my parabola. Okay? And 18. 18. If y varies directly as x, when y equals 40, x equals 6. Find the constant of variation. So this is basically saying y equals kx. So 40 equals k times 6. Divide by 6, divide by 6. K equals 46, which is, what is that, 20/3, which is 6.6 and 2/3, 6.66666666. So that's K for number 18. Any questions on that?
Those are recent homework, yeah.
Yep, that's last night's. And 19,
Last night.
Whoa, whoa,
What
whoa,
was
whoa.
last night's homework?
2.8.
It was,
That's today. Says Tuesday.
non-right hyperbolas.
Right,
And so the formula was like
degenerative.
f of x equals k over x.
Yep. All right, now we're going to take a look at inverse, the one that's inverse. It says, find y varies inversely when y is 30, x is 5. We want to find k, and inverse is y equals k over x. So 30 equals k over 5. So k equals 150.
Oh yeah. Because 5 times 30 is 150.
Yep. All right, and then finally number 20. A house was purchased for $250,000 in 2010. It's increased by value this much every year. Express the value of the house as a linear function of t. And according to your function, when will the price be $334,000? So first of all, this is going up this much each year, except for it doesn't go up that much the first year. So I'm going to write x minus 1 plus how much it was originally. That's my function. Right. Now it did say, like, we could write value equals, and they want it in terms of t. So I could write t minus 1.
How did you know, why did, where does it say it doesn't go up in the first year?
How much is it in year 1?
The house purchase for 25.
Oh, you're right. This in year 1, it will go up. I'm sorry. I was thinking of something different. You're totally right. Okay, so this is just t. Because we have 0 years when they bought it, right?
Yeah.
And it's worth that. So yeah, that's even easier. Right? So there's that. And now we just, that's
Stretch the
our,
house is a linear function?
yep, there it is.
Oh.
Now let's solve for 334,000. So, I'm going to subtract the 250,000 from each side. And that's going to be 84,000.
Yeah.
Seven. So that is going to be 84,000 divided by 10,500. 8 years. So what year would that be? 2018. We start at 2010, 8 years from 2010 is 2018. Any questions about that?
Nope, I don't think so.
All right,
And when you put it in, normally it would have been negative, but then it had to be a positive because of the, what shape is that with? On my
I'm not-
homework,